Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of how to program in Python. And today we are going to be talking about inputs, basic data types, and conditional statements. So if else, we're going to be doing some cool logic stuff to control user flow in our application. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and made a lesson.py file to kind of be our whiteboard for going over this stuff. One thing you might have noticed is I am on a MacBook today. It is not going to change anything we write or do, except for one little tiny thing that doesn't impact you if you are on Windows. You just have to not type exactly what I type in the command line. That being, when I run my applications on here, instead of typing Python and the file name, I have to type Python 3 and the file name. And the reason for that being Python's versioning. macOS comes pre-installed with Python 2, which defaults to the Python command. So for Python 3, I have to specify that I want to use Python 3. So without further ado, let's get into this. And the first thing that we are going to do is inputs. Now we can actually start doing things. So an input can be anything that an external thing adds to our application. So an input can be from a user. You can have input from a file, input from a database. It is data that we are getting from somewhere else. And how we do that in Python is quite simple. I am going to make a variable called name. Remember, a name is a placeholder for a value. And we have my kite tool already telling me that it thinks we're going to use an input, and it's right. Now I put my parentheses at the end, and in here I can actually type a prompt, and you can see that read a string from the standard input. The prompt string, if given, is printed to the standard output without a new trailing line before the input. And I'll show you why this is nice to have after we do this. So I'm going to say, please enter your name, colon, I'm going to do a space at the end. I'll save this file. I can come down here and I'll type Python 3, lesson.py. Remember, tab will autocomplete it for you. We'll hit enter. Now I can enter my name, and my name is Brock. Great, the application is done. If we want to see what we wrote, we can do a print name, and then remember, if you press up on your arrow key, you can get the command you just ran. Please enter your name. I'm going to put Brock. Great. So you could also do inputs like this. Without the prompt, I would just type input. Oops. I wanted to go above there. I would write print, please enter your name. It's the same string we had before. And I'm going to bring my print name back here. But now look what happens. It's on a new line. That might be okay for you, but I personally like to have all my inputs lined up with my command, or what I'm asking the user to do. So I'm going to keep my prompt in here. Okay? So that's a basic input. And really, you can ask a user for any kind of information. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail of how to get with that right now, and we're going to see at the end where this becomes not a problem, but you have to, think about what the user is going to be inputting and how to actually more or less control what they're inputting. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to do our conditional statements. So what a conditional statement is, a conditional statement is a if-else statement. It controls where a user goes in an application based on their input. What we can do now is I'm going to type if, which is how we start our conditional expression, name, double equal sign. If my name is equal to Brock, put a colon at the end and press enter, and you can see Visual Studio Code immediately indents me here. This is because Python reads its commands based on indent level. So what I'm doing is I am creating a block of code to be executed when name is equal to Brock. And I'll write print hello Brock. I'll save it. You can see my errors go away. So let's run it. Brock. And we get a hello Brock. Great. That is wonderful. What happens when I don't enter Brock? What happens if I type Larry? We get Larry back. But you can see it did not print hello Brock. And I'm actually just going to delete this print line so we can get a little bit clearer of what's going on. So if I run that again and I enter Larry, we get nothing back. Well, this is nice, but how do we handle other names? Well, the easiest would be to write else with a colon at the end. And else is basically if none of the conditions above it are true, do this. I'm going to say print. And let's put in here, I don't know who you are. And I save. Now if I'm going to clear that so it's a little easier to see, and I run it, and now if I enter Larry, I get I don't know who you are. Now, what if I do want to let people with Larry do Larry things in my app? I can add another case, and it's not going to be if. It's going to be elif, a combination of else if, name, double equal sign, Larry, print, hello there. And now if I go ahead and run this and I type Larry now, we get hello there. If I enter any other name than Brock or Larry, like Luke, we get that I don't know who you are. And let me clear my console. So you can have as many of these in a row as you want. There are better ways to handle larger conditions like this that we're not going to get to, but for small little things with a couple of inputs like this, if-else blocks are just fine. Now, I have a question, and it is going to come into play when we jump over to the Tik-Tac-Toe file to start adding our menu items back in, which is going to be awesome. So the question is, I'm going to write it in a comment. Remember, a comment is a single pound sign. Is this is equal to, let me see. Okay, is 6 equal to 6? Think on it, pause the video. I'm going to go away for a couple minutes. You're going to figure this out, and then we'll see if your answer was right. All right, so hopefully you stewed over that for a little bit. Let's see if this is correct. We're going to go over to our Tik-Tac-Toe file, and I added a comment here called menu items, where we're going to give 3 different menu items. The first one we are going to write is going to be option 1. We are going to say new game. We're going to do print 2, we are going to say C winners, which we will do later. Sorry, I forgot my quotes there. And 3 is going to be exit. So we have 3 choices that our users can select here. Let's add a new variable called choice, and we're going to set that equal to input. And we're going to add our prompt called option, with a colon and a space at the end to make it look nice. And now we can get an input from the user to see what they wanted to do. So the first thing we should do to see what they selected is if choice is equal to, let's do choice number 1. Let's do print new game. Let's do new game was selected. Okay, so if they picked choice 1, and that's going to be our top guy right there. Now we can do an elif choice equals 2. Option 2 is C winners. We're going to do print C winners was selected. Save. We need a third choice, and we're going to do an elif for this, and you'll see why. Choice double equal sign 3. Print exit was selected. Now for our else condition, we want to handle if they entered anything that wasn't 1, 2, or 3. So I am going to say print, and I am going to say please enter a valid menu choice. Nice. All right. So now let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. So I'm going to type Python 3. I'll do tic-tac-toe.py. Man, that looks a lot better. So it says, welcome to Tic-Tac-Toe. Please select a menu option. Let's play a new game. So we should get new game was selected printed. Uh-oh. Well, that doesn't look like new game was selected. Let's clear the console and figure out what happened. If you remember when I asked you, is 6 equal to 6? And you said no, you would be correct. 6 in this situation is treated as what's called an integer data type, or a number. And this 6 wrapped in quotation marks is being treated as what's called a string, a word. And a number is not the same thing as a word. That's why our choice selections here aren't working. Because if I were to come up here and let's print our choice, and then I were to do print type choice, we will see that we actually get a string from input and not an int. So if I come up here, are you okay? There we go. Okay. So if I hit choice 1 again, we do get 1, but it's of class string. And if I come over here and print type 1, let's do the same thing. String int. If I come over here, my kite tool will tell me choice is of type string. How do we get around this though? Well, what we can do is we can convert the string to an int. If I wrap it like this and save it in an int, and this has to be in between 2 parentheses. And I'll go up, I can run it. Now if I hit 1, oh look, there we go. We get new game was selected. That's wonderful. That's exactly what we wanted. And we can do the same thing with the other ones. I can hit 2, We can say see winners, and if we do 3, we get exit was selected. So in the next episode, we're going to go over what more of these different data types are and how they work in Python. We are going to go over arrays, so we can clean the menu up a little bit. Now this is fine for 3 options, but what happens when we get up to 5 or 10 options? We don't want to write out print 7 more times. That would be kind of a waste of time. And we are going to see what arrays are and how they can help us clean this up, and also how we can use them in the Tic-Tac-Toe game itself. If you liked the video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see everybody in the next one.